Picture this. Two students get their math tests back, both received a C. The first student slumps in his chair, muttering, "I'm just not good at math." The second student looks at her test and thinks, "Okay, what did I miss? What can I learn from this?" Same grade, completely different reactions. And that difference? It's going to shape not just their next math test, but their entire lives. Last week, I witnessed something fascinating at a local coffee shop. A new barista was struggling with the espresso machine, making mistakes with almost every order. Some customers were getting impatient, but what caught my attention was his response. Instead of getting flustered or giving up, he kept asking questions, making adjustments, and thanking people for their patience. By the end of his shift, he was making drinks like a pro. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about making coffee. This was the perfect example of what we call a growth mindset in action. You see, our mindset, the way we interpret challenges and respond to setbacks, isn't just some abstract psychological concept. It's the lens through which we view every experience in our lives, and it ultimately determines whether we grow from our challenges or get stopped by them. Let me share a personal story that really drove this point home for me. A few years ago, I was working on a major project at work. I had put everything into it, spent countless hours perfecting every detail. When presentation day came, I felt confident. But as I started presenting, things began to unravel. The data wasn't as compelling as I thought. My delivery was shaky, and I could see my boss's disappointment growing with every slide. In that moment, I had two choices. I could label myself a failure, retreat into my shell, and play it safe from then on, what we call a fixed mindset. Or I could view this as valuable feedback, an opportunity to learn and grow. The growth mindset approach. The choice I made that day changed the trajectory of my career, but not in the way you might think. After that presentation disaster, I did something that surprised even myself. Instead of hiding in my office, I asked my boss for a detailed critique. Every point of feedback felt like a punch to the gut, but I wrote everything down. Then I did something even more uncomfortable. I asked my colleagues who were in the audience for their honest opinions. What happened next was fascinating. Rather than judging me for my failure, people opened up. They shared their own stories of presentations gone wrong, of lessons learned the hard way. One colleague even offered to practice future presentations with me. That failure became the foundation for relationships and skills that would later propel my career forward. But here's what's really interesting about the growth mindset. It's not just about bouncing back from failure. It's about fundamentally changing how we view challenges, effort, and even success itself. Think about how we typically view effort. In a fixed mindset, needing to work hard at something is seen as proof that you're not naturally good at it. But in a growth mindset, effort is what makes you good at something. I saw this play out beautifully with my friend Sarah, a pianist. She used to believe that some people were just naturally musical, while others weren't. But when she started teaching piano to children, she noticed something that challenged this belief. The students who improved the most weren't necessarily the ones who showed initial talent. They were the ones who embraced the challenging pieces, who weren't afraid to make mistakes, who saw each difficult passage as a puzzle to be solved rather than a judgment of their ability. This realization transformed her own relationship with music. She started tackling pieces she would have previously considered beyond her ability. Yes, she struggled. Yes, she hit wrong notes. But instead of seeing these struggles as proof of her limitations, she began to see them as stepping stones to mastery. Today, she performs pieces she once thought impossible, not because she discovered some hidden natural talent, but because she changed how she viewed the learning process itself. Think about how this applies to your own life. How many times have you stopped yourself from trying something new because you were afraid of not being good at it? How many opportunities have you missed because you viewed talent as fixed rather than developable? I remember talking to a friend who wanted to switch careers into tech. He had a stable job in retail management but dreamed of becoming a software developer. But I'm not a math person, he kept saying. I didn't study computer science in college. I'm too old to start now. Classic fixed mindset talking. But here's what he did next that changed everything. Instead of letting those beliefs stop him, he decided to test them. He started with one basic programming course. Yes, it was challenging. Yes, he felt behind compared to others. But instead of seeing this as proof that he wasn't a tech person, he started keeping what he called a learning journal. In this journal, he didn't just track what he was learning, he tracked his progress. Day 1, couldn't even understand what a variable was. Day 30, built my first calculator app. This simple practice helped him see learning as a process rather than a test of ability. 2 years later, he is working as a junior developer. Not because he discovered he was actually a tech person all along, but because he approached the challenge with a growth mindset. But let's talk about something that often gets overlooked when discussing the growth mindset. It's not about being positive all the time. It's not about saying, I can do anything, while ignoring real limitations and constraints. Instead, it's about saying, I might not be able to do this yet, but I can improve with effort and strategy. This distinction is crucial. A growth mindset isn't magical thinking. It's a practical approach to challenges that acknowledges both the reality of where you are and the possibility of where you could go. It's about understanding that your abilities are developable, but development takes time, effort, and often smart strategies. I learned this lesson while training for my first marathon. Initially, I thought a growth mindset meant believing I could run a marathon through sheer determination. That led to overtraining, injury, and frustration. Real growth came when I combined the belief that I could improve with the humility to learn proper training techniques, listen to my body, and progress gradually. This brings us to another important aspect of the growth mindset, the role of strategy. It's not enough to believe you can improve. You need effective approach to that improvement. Think of it like trying to get to a destination. Belief that you can get there is important, but you also need a good map and directions. Let me share a technique that's been incredibly helpful for developing a growth mindset. I call it the Yet Journal. Whenever you catch yourself saying, I can't do this, I'm not good at this, or this is too hard, add the word yet to the end of that sentence. Then write down one small step you could take toward improvement. For example, instead of "I'm not good at public speaking," write "I am not good at public speaking yet. Today I can practice my presentation in front of one friend." This simple addition of "yet" transforms a statement of permanent limitation into a temporary situation that can be changed through action. Another powerful practice is what I call failure reframing. Instead of seeing failures as endpoints, treat them as experiments. Every failure has data, information about what didn't work, and often clues about what might work better next time. When you view failures this way, they become less threatening and more useful. I saw this principle in action recently while mentoring a young entrepreneur. Her first product launch was, by conventional standards, a failure. Few sales, technical issues, negative feedback. But instead of giving up, she treated it as a research opportunity. She reached out to everyone who didn't buy, asking what held them back. She carefully analyzed every piece of negative feedback. The insights she gained led to a completely revised product that was far better than her original concept. This brings us to an important point about the growth mindset. It's contagious. When you demonstrate this approach to challenges, it influences those around you. I have seen this ripple effect in teams, families, and classrooms. When one person starts viewing challenges as opportunities for growth, it often inspires others to do the same. Think about the implications of this in leadership roles. Whether you are a parent, teacher, manager, or mentor, your mindset doesn't just affect you, it influences how others approach challenges and setbacks. By modeling a growth mindset, you are not just improving your own life, you are helping others develop this powerful approach to challenges. But let's be honest, maintaining a growth mindset isn't always easy. We all have areas where we tend to fall back into fixed mindset thinking. The key is to recognize these trigger points and have strategies ready for those moments. For me, receiving critical feedback used to be a major trigger. My immediate reaction will be to defend, explain, or justify, all signs of a fixed mindset. Over time, I have developed a simple practice. When receiving feedback, I first say, "Thank you," then ask one question about how I could improve. This simple routine helps me stay in a growth mindset even when it is challenging. As we wrap up, I want to emphasize something important. Developing a growth mindset is itself a growth process. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to maintain it 100% of the time. What matters is your overall approach to challenges and your willingness to keep developing this mindset over time. Start paying attention to your thought patterns. Notice when you slip into fixed mindset thinking. Practice adding "yet" to your limitations. Remember that every challenge is an opportunity to grow, not a test of your fixed abilities. And speaking of growth, if you found this exploration of mindset valuable, you will definitely want to check out our previous video on Financial Wellness 101. Build wealth and secure your future. Why? Because a growth mindset is crucial for building financial success, and the principles we discussed in that video pair perfectly with what we have covered today. You can find the link in the description below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to stay updated with more videos that will help you develop the mindset and skills needed for success in all areas of your life. Thanks for watching Elevate with Salman. Until next time, remember, every challenge is an opportunity to grow, and every setback is a setup for a comeback.